So yeah, I do like to record these, and I want to say good morning, good afternoon, everyone. And I want to say thank you, Yolanda, for being here with us. Thank you, family, friends, for supporting Yolanda in what she's doing here today, because she's giving us some information, some insights, and and awareness of what to do as you're navigating your way through stepping into a vision, which might be new and it might be different. So I want to say welcome, everyone. This is Tonyabrewington. I'm the CEO and founder of Courageously Alive and the creator of the Heal, Thrive, and Prosper method. And I want to say thank you for joining us this afternoon. And today, on the Courageous Conversations Fireside Chat, I have as my guest Minister Yolanda Harris. I want to talk a little bit about why we do the Courageous Conversations Fireside Chat. I set these up really so that we as a community can have a safe place to have conversations about things that we don't typically talk about. And I wanted it to be a place where it's not just a discussion coming from me and my perspective, but I have on guests who can support and corroborate kind of the message that Courageously Alive speaks to, but also to help empower other people who may be going through something similar and just want to know how to navigate their way through it. Hence, the Courageous Conversations Fireside Chats. We have them once a month, first Saturday of each month at 12 noon. So I just want to say thanks for participating. Now, let me give you a quick bio about Yolanda. Yolanda is a minister. She was born in Washington, D.C. and raised with her younger brother in the D.C. area. I'm going to do a quick synopsis because there's a lot that I want us to get to. She was ordained as a minister in 2017 by Pastor Betty J. Harris, who is her mom, which is awesome.
Yes, shout out to my mom.
And her her desire was to have a relationship where everything she has, everything she does and thinks flows from God, from rest to peace to abundance and to maturity. And as God is preparing her to carry the mantle in the future, she wants to be confident and humble as she takes the step into her place in ministry, wherever it may be needed. And she wants to echo the voice given to her mom, Pastor Betty, to not mimic any church or preacher, because there's a uniqueness of the ministry in that there are no walls, giving the church the freedom to impact the kingdom of God. And so I want to say thank you, Yolanda, for participating with us. So let's talk about this for a moment. This theme today is about stepping into your vision, not your ministry. In your case, it happens to be ministry, but for some other people, it may not be ministry. But when you're thinking about stepping into your vision, what does that what does that bring to you when you think about that? What does that mean to you?
First and foremost, I want to thank you, first of all, for having me on today. And I want to thank all the guests that are on, my family and friends. I do want to shout out to my pastor, Betty Harris, my mom, thank her. And first and foremost, God, for even allowing this opportunity to come. So, Tonya, thank you so very much for that.
You're welcome.
With that being said, I think the key to being able to step into your vision is knowing the direction in which God wants you to go in.
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, you have to kind of have that. If you're in relationship with God, you're having those conversations, constantly asking God. I've done it. I said, God, why am I here? What do you want me to do?
Mm-hmm.
The talents and the gifts that you have given me, how can I make an impact on the world with these talents and gifts that I have? Right now, I feel like I'm not doing much with it. I've had that conversation with God. So,
wow.
what you want me to do? Please let me know what you want me to do. And there are times that I still feel like that. I got to be honest. There are times where I'm like, am I in my call? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And if I am, God, I hope I am representing you in a way that is authentic, that's honest, that's true. Do I make mistakes? Yes, I make a lot. But I quickly I repent when I make them. If it's something that I know that's grieving God, I don't want to be a grievance to him. So I think the key to that is knowing the direction in which you want to go in. And for me, the direction is being able to be authentic with people, being an example before people, just being real.
Mhm.
Men and women of God have feelings. We're not perfect.
Right.
You stepping in a leadership or ministry, sometimes they think everything is. I go through many things. I've been in many things, do many things. We just need to be real. I think what the world is calling for now, especially the younger generation, the millennials and the ones that follow, they want you to be real.
Right.
Just be
Right.
real. And
Right.
that is something that my pastor constantly tells us. That all of the men and women that are on here who have been connected with Pastor Betty Harris really know, just be real in all that you're doing. So knowing the direction in which you want to go to. And sometimes you've got to ask God, what is that direction? Because life bring about changes. You
Mhm.
know, it brings about changes in our lives. Sometimes the direction that we start off in may not be the direction that God really wants us to go in, or the direction He may tell us to pivot and change it all together.
Exactly. It's kind of like turning it down and to start over for whatever reason. And it happens.
Yes,
It
yes,
happens. Yeah.
yes.
So let me ask you a question. When someone is saying, yeah, I've been praying, but how do I know I'm really hearing from God? How do I know that what I am thinking, how do you distinguish between what you think are your thoughts? Because this is what I want to do, and what you think is the word that God is given to you. What would you say to someone who has that kind of question?
Well, first and foremost, when it's God, it's gonna fall in place the way it should. It's gonna fall right in line. When it's you, and your, you
Mhm.
and your thoughts, and you're asking God to bless something for you that you know not right, that you know is not right.
Yeah,
Okay, it's not gonna work.
yeah,
But sometimes, because we are free moral agents, because God has given us the freedom to choose, he does not beat us with a stick. He give you the choice. He say,
Mhm.
choose life, which is me, or make your choice. But when you make your choice, you have to live with your
Your
consequences.
consequences.
Your
I would,
consequences. The consequences that you have to live with after you have made choices. I can give you an example of a situation that happened in my life. I was in the midst of a divorce.
mhm,
I asked God what to do.
mhm.
God said, all the answers lie with you. I said, God, I don't get it. I don't get it. He said, all the answers lie with you. So whichever direction I went in, that's what was going to happen. I chose the direction. And when I tell you I chose the direction that God wanted me to choose, everything fell in place. It was like boom, 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 boom. You know when it's right, when it falls in place the way God wants it to fall.
The way God wants it to fall. Now, let me ask you about that, because sometimes people make mistakes in what they're doing,
Oh, we know that.
and so there's a place where you can actually do a pivot and get back in alignment with the vision that God has for you. But
Yes.
what are the steps that are necessary, you think, for people to make a pivot to get back in alignment? Because I'll tell you, I had an experience as well where I made a decision and I was,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm doing my thing. And from the moment I made it from the moment I started, everything, like it was like things were just falling apart. And I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Now, what I can tell you is that sometimes this is the way I see it. Sometimes things seem to fall apart when they're falling together. It's like you have to get rid of a lot of extra stuff in order
Yes.
to really, it's like pruning and getting rid of the unnecessary things so you can really get to the essence of
Yes.
that vision that you have. But in this case, one of the things that I had to say was, for some reason, I thought I was doing the right thing, which some people
Yes.
think they're listening and hearing
Yes.
the thing. But the way things happened, all of the transitions, all of the things that were happening, I was like, I must not have done something right. I must not have
Right.
followed what I thought was right. So when you're hearing someone who is saying that, how do you actually get them, or what would you suggest for them to actually make a turnaround or to make the shift, the appropriate shift to get back in alignment?
I think sometimes when we're in the midst of a storm, in the midst of a situation where everything seems like it's falling
Mhm.
apart, um, we have to stop and just take a moment. God doesn't. He comes in a quiet, still voice. He doesn't come in chaos.
Right.
So to hear him, you have to get still. That's tough. You have to get quiet. All of that is hard. You have to be patient. It is hard. Been there, done that.
Mhm.
Situations where you hear nothing. Like God, I don't hear nothing. I don't see anything. What is going on?
Mhm.
But you have to that's when you get to the place where you have to totally trust him. You got to get to that place where you totally trust him and rely on him. That takes time. And in that, you will hear, he will direct you, but you have to get still sometimes to hear him. I've been, when you're in the midst of everything that's going on and you're thinking you're making the right decisions, and every time you take one step forward, it seems like you're taking five back. But in the midst of that, God is still with you through it all. And
Mhm.
maybe in the midst of that, he may be trying to show you something about you,
Right.
something that you need to know about yourself,
Right.
something to grow you and mature you at that particular moment in your life. I re- let's just say my life did a whole change in 2022.
Mhm.
Um, so I had to rely on God because what I thought and how I wanted things to turn out didn't turn out the way I wanted them to turn out. And I felt like at that time when all of that stuff was falling apart, I felt so low. And I was such a low moment in my life. But to God be the glory
Exactly.
that it turned around. It didn't look the way I thought it should look. It didn't turn out the way I thought it should have turned out. But sitting here now, I can truly say that I'm in a good place.
You're in a
That's
better
not to say I'm not still having struggles. That's not to say that I'm still not having moments, because I do.
place.
But the journey that God has taken me on, I'm trying to stay on that journey. But there are moments where, I falter. I
Right.
have those moments. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I don't have those, but I thank God for having strong people in my life, um, mentors in my life, my pastor, who's my mother. So, being able to talk with her and have times with her, but just having that relationship with God to just ask him, you know, just get real with him and just say, just he knows your thoughts. He knows it before you're thinking it. So you might as well just say it. You
Yeah.
might as well just come out and say it to him. He already know. So, I would say to that person, just get still. If you try to get as still as you possibly can so you can hear the voice of God. Calm down. Just you just have to take some time to realize that maybe I'm going through this for a moment to grow. Something God is trying to show me about me to make me mature in this area of my life, and to really learn to totally depend and trust in him.
Right. So let me ask you about in the midst of the storm.
Yes.
As you said, it's very uncomfortable. And I mean,
Oh,
so uncomfortable that for many of us, our natural inclination is to run. Like, I
yes.
want to be here, so
Yes.
let me run, let me do something, anything to distract myself
Yes.
and or to run away from it.
Yes.
But what I have found, and even as I talk to people, and even dealing with things myself, I'm like, if I can sit here long enough to see what this is supposed to be about and what the end is supposed to be, then when I come out of it, I won't have to go through this way ever again. What do you say to people who feel like, oh my God, I can't take it. I got to get out. I've got to get out right now. But the benefit of sitting still long, you're saying sitting still to hear, but also I'm suggesting sitting still so that you learn everything you need to learn in that particular season, because it's a season for you.
It's a season.
In that season, so that whatever you are supposed to learn. You don't have to revisit because you've seen everything you need to see in that space. And now you have the ability to go and move forward and do something else. What is your thought about that based on what you're saying about, being in the storm?
When you're in the storm, you may not. So when you're in that storm, I'm not going to say you're going to revisit that storm, but if you hit another storm, if you've grown from that storm that you're in, because you're going to hit another one. If you've grown from that storm, your reaction and how you handle it would be different because you have learned something out of it. That's what you're going to hope, that you have learned something out of this. Because if you continue to do the same thing the same way,
You get the
I
same.
think
It's called insanity.
it's called insanity, is it not? That's
Right.
fine. It's insanity. You think you're going to get something different, but you're still doing it the same way. But by God's grace, you will hope that you will grow from that storm so that you are prepared for the next storm and you will learn. And that's, once again, relying on that voice, to hear that voice from God. But if your relationship, if you're not quite there with the relationship with God, then you tend to rely on your own, your own instincts. Sometimes your instincts are good, sometimes your instincts are bad. But I would suggest, if you continuously getting into these storms and you continuously getting these same results, at some point you just need to surrender and say, God, help me. It's just that simple. You don't even have to have this long prayer. All that's 2 words. God, help me. 3, help me. I need help, God. Help me. Help. But hopefully you will learn, you will mature from it so that you know how to handle it the next time, yet your reaction won't quite be the same. But in the midst of that storm, there's something that God is not the storm, but you're in it so that you can grow. It's a growth moment. It's it's a growing, this is a growing time. It's a time for you to grow. Figure out what it is and and grow from it.
Right. So before I ask the next question, I want to say that if you guys are on here, which is good. I'm excited to see you here. If you have any comments or any questions that you want to include, by all means, you can put them in the chat and I'll make sure that Yolanda goes through all the questions and she can answer any questions. She's going to.
Thank you, Tonya. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk through it. So this is how you can actually be part of the conversation, because I will actually make sure we're including your comments, your questions, your feedback as we're going along. So if you have anything that's coming to you as we're talking, put it in chat and I'll make sure we get to those questions or those comments as we go along. So let me ask you this. I know that you and I have talked, and I know that you're in the process of making a fairly significant change or a significant move in terms of your place in ministry.
Yes.
And in the process of making a big step, because a lot of people are at that point where they're at the cusp of having to make a decision about something, and it is big and it's significant and it's
scary. It can be scary.
Yes. Talk about that, because it's like you get to that point and you know that you're there. It's scary. It can be exciting because you know that it could possibly be the thing that you've been praying for all this time. But to actually step forward and to say, because in essence, it's like you're giving up everything that you said you were before, and you're stepping into something completely new and different. And what thoughts are going through your mind? What is that space for you right now?
Scary. It's scary, but yet open to whatever God has for me. Now I've said what I don't want. I've said it. No, I don't want to do that.
God, I want to do this.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still here to be the instrument that God wants to use.
Right.
So whatever He decides He wants me to do, when it comes to the ministry of men and women on the Move for Christ Incorporated, then That's what I have to do. Regardless, I can be kicking and screaming all the way, kicking and screaming, kicking and screaming all the way. But whatever the Lord has set for me. Now, what I see right now, I'm here to support my pastor, to support everyone that is involved in the ministry, to do what I'm supposed to do. But then there's a desire to kind of maybe have something branch off over to the side that's still up under the ministry, like you and I had discussed.
Yes.
We had discussed. So that's something that's you know, in the future.
Mhm, mhm.
Just in the future.
You're not ready just yet, but
I'm not just ready just yet. So I'm not just ready to just kind of disclose what that is. But
right.
yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I have a comment that says, just stay humble because
Yes, that's from one of my big sisters.
yes, Miss Roxanne Burrows.
Yes, yes, who introduced us by Tiz. So we thank her for that introduction.
Yes, Miss Roxanne. And then someone says, please talk about how you graciously deal with haters and people who stress you out. Now, that's a really good
That's a
question.
good one. That's a good one. And
Yeah.
and I'm actually in the midst of that right now. I'm in the midst of some haters right now. So uh you know what? I don't stoop to their level
Mhm.
because I had to really get focused that I'm working and everything I'm doing is unto God. So
Right.
if it's unto God, then I have to continue to stay on that path that I'm on. I have to continually smile. I have to. Now I got to be phony. I ain't got to deal in your mess. I don't have to tolerate your mess because my meekness is meek and I'm being humble and I'm being nice. That don't mean that I don't have another side, but I'm not going to step to your level. So yes, I'm in the midst of the haters right now. I'm in the midst of a situation where I'm trying to better myself, but they're upset because I'm trying to better myself. So now they have changed toward me totally. But I
Mhm.
still gotta I still gotta do what I gotta do to get the job done.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm doing what I gotta do to get the job done. And I'm stepping away, having my moments, breathing, going to the bathroom, saying, okay, help me, Lord, help me right now, because they're acting a little ridiculous and trying not to step off. But just staying to the path that God has you on. Just staying true to who you are.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do the job and I'm gonna do it right. So
Right.
regardless of what you try to do to me, I'm still gonna do what I have to do. And I'm not gonna step to your level because hey, I'm here, I'm who I am, and I'm gonna remain who I am. And
Right.
so it's like our former first lady said, when they go low, you
Yeah.
go
We go high. That's
you
right.
go high. You stay to your course of doing what's right.
Right.
Just regardless of how irritated I may get, or regardless of how I see what they're doing, if I do what's right, then the right is going to come back to me. It's
Right.
going to always come back to me.
Right. And so Roxanne made a comment that you need your haters
Yes,
because
we do.
these
They
are the
do.
ones that push you in.
Yes, they push you into your destiny.
There's a
Yes.
lot to be said about that. Um, because everything is not peaches and cream. The truth is, if it was, we wouldn't grow. We couldn't grow. We have
We
to
couldn't
grow
grow.
with
We couldn't grow.
with that conflict. Basically, that's what really causes us to grow. And so here you are figuring out how to navigate this with these people, because as you move forward in ministry, you have to deal with even more people who are coming at you from a lot of different ways.
Ooh, yes, coming at you from all different angles. Yes. Yes, my
Exactly.
pastor's over here agreeing.
He's in the amen corner.
Yes, he is the amen corner over here.
Amen corner. Yes. So how are, I mean, granted, let me say this. I'm going to ask you some things. I know you and I have talked, and I know
Yes.
how connected you are with God. But when someone's thinking about how are you managing all of these things that are coming at you? How are you what are you doing? I'm assuming that you're praying, you're doing some other things. What,
Yes.
what does that look like for you on a day-to-day basis when it comes to you preparing yourself
For the day.
the day, or because it's like sometimes it feels like you're going into battle. Doesn't always, you're not always going into battle per se, but it may feel like it, and you have to kind of really prepare yourself before you go out. What does that look like for you?
The key to one word, I think you was getting ready to say gird.
I was gonna say gird yourself up. Yeah.
So yeah, the one of the first things that takes place for me in the morning is the prayer, and then as I'm going into work, I'm having devotions. My mother and I are having our morning devotions together.
Mhm.
That right there is the preparation. And in that morning devotions, I'm looking at that chapter in Ephesians about putting on the armor,
Full armor. Mm-hmm.
whole armor. And
Mhm.
it's one thing to put it on, but you got to keep tightening up the links when it gets loose. You got to keep tightening it up. You put it on, keep it on, but you got to keep tightening it up. You get
Mhm.
those links, that breastplate of righteousness, you got to tighten it up. Girding up your loins, you got to tighten it up. Shod your feet with the gospel of peace, you got to tighten up the shoes. You got to make sure that the links, when they start to get loose, that you tighten them up. And the way to tighten that up is to constantly feeding yourself the word and not allowing the negative stuff that you're seeing and you're hearing to overtake you, because sometimes it can be overwhelming sometimes with so much that's going on right now in this United States and around the world, and and then within your own personal life. So that's one of the key things. And then I'm constantly having to talk to myself about who I am. Who I am. I'm telling myself, you are good. Regardless, you are righteous. No matter what, you're good. You belong to the Lord. You got to talk to yourself. I'm talking to
Huh?
myself about when I'm feeling like I'm not where I need to be, or I can't. You can do this. Like even with this, preparing for this. When you first asked me, I was like, "You want me to do?" I was like, "Me?" And you was like, "Yes, I want you to do it." And I was like, "Okay." I immediately went to my pastor and I said, "What you think?" And she said, "You got this. You got it." And I was like, "Okay." Then I talked to some more friends of mine, and asked. And a special friend in my life, I asked him, and everybody was just saying, "You got this. You got this." And so it's just that preparation. We can easily talk, how so easy we talk to ourselves about what we're not.
Yeah.
We do that so easily.
Easily, and it's
We do
hard.
that so easily. We have
Harder.
to talk to ourselves about what we are
Right. It
and who
seems
we
harder
are.
to do that
It
as
does.
opposed to focus
It
on
does.
the,
But
yeah,
you have to start talking to yourself about who you are.
right,
And
right.
what good do you have? You're not being arrogant. You're just saying, "You know what? I woke up today, you looked in the mirror and said, yeah, I look good." Yeah.
Mhm.
You gotta tell yourself that sometimes.
Not sometimes, every day. You better tell yourself. Every
You just
day.
gotta ask, you just gotta talk to yourself. And you
Right.
gotta say, you know, the intelligence that God has given me, the wisdom that God has given me, that's gonna come forth today. You just gotta talk to yourself
Right.
in a positive thing. And that's what I have to do at moments. I have to just kind of like talk to myself. But having that time with God in the mornings,
Mhm.
and it don't necessarily have to be in the morning. And it's all day. Because I'm sitting at my desk when I don't know how to do something. Girl, how I do this?
Mhm.
Help me. I need to figure this. I don't know what I'm doing. Help me right now. Give
Right.
me the wisdom and the knowledge that I need to do this. Because I don't quite understand this. Or even, and then right away, I'll be able to, it'll figure it out. I just like, help me right now. Please help me right now.
Mhm.
And that's, I don't have a problem with that. And maybe some folks that walk past my desk and heard it. Because I'm kind of loud with it. God help. But hey, I've had people make comments. Are you talking to yourself? I say yes, and it's the best conversation I've had all day. Move on. And so there you go. That's what I say. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, just that's the kind of stuff I do to try to help get through my day and help, start that day off, and then throughout the day, just trying to stay focused. because you can, with a lot coming in at one time, you just have to kind of slow down and take your time and figure out what's what, because you can't do it all.
Right.
Yeah, you can have it all sometime, but you can't do it all in one day. So
Not at the same time.
no, you can't.
So let me steer this around a little bit. So some people feel that, we talked about what it looks like to be in front of that vision. Like, I have to make a decision and I have to go. And for people who decide not to do it,
Mm,
because there are some people who have decided they're not going to, right? For whatever reason, I don't want to get
right,
into the whys and the why fors, but I want to say that
right.
it does happen. And so what's the impact from your perspective? And I'm sure you've seen people in your life who have decided not to live out the vision that God gave them to live out. What do you see as the results? What's the impact of that for those people who've decided? Because there may be people on the call who are sitting there questioning whether they want to go forward or whatever. So what would you say the impact of that?
I sometimes that can be detrimental, because you haven't done, what God calls you to do, or just what you're being led, what you're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've had some moments in my life where there's stuff that I know I should have done. I didn't do it. I
Mm-hmm.
regret it. But then having to get back to that place where you may go back. I think sometimes you don't want to live in a posture of regret. You
Right.
just don't. Also, too, before you leave this earth, I mean, the thing that I've asked God is, I want to be spent. Like, whatever it is inside of me that you want me to do, I don't want to take it to the grave. I
Mm-hmm.
want it. I want it to go forth. I want whatever the things that you want for me to do to make an impact on the world, to make an impact to your kingdom. I want it to be done before I leave this earth. So that's the conversation I've had. I said, I don't want to carry it with me.
Right.
So please, God, direct and help me. But in the case where I just don't think you want to live in a place where you're going to be going, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. And sometimes it takes you longer to get where you're going when you don't follow that passion, or you don't follow that path that God has laid out, that He has for you.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you longer to live a quality life, a life where you're happy, where you feel fulfilled, you know? And when I say quality, I don't, people always thinking money. No, I'm thinking a life where you're at rest and you're at peace within yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you want. You want to live and enjoy life. You don't
Right.
want to always be just, I'm barely making it, or I'm
Existing.
just
Call it
existing.
existing.
I don't want to just exist. I want to live.
Right.
That's what we were put here. We
Right.
were put here to live the life, a quality of good life. That's why we are here.
I want to add some things to that, because one of the other things I share a lot with people who are in my community is, there are things that you're here to do. And if you don't
Exactly.
do what you're here to do, the people that need what you have won't get it done. It
That's
just won't
right.
be done for them. And they're left kind of hanging. But they
Yes,
need what the gift that you have and that you're
that's
bringing to the earth. But if you choose to hide it, or you choose not to do it, then you're actually not just impacting your life, you're impacting the lives of other people as
that is
well.
correct.
So
I
that,
agree totally. I agree wholeheartedly with that, because we all are born with a purpose, but inside of us there is potential, and that potential definitely needs to come out. And you need to just constantly working toward asking God, what is it that you want me to do to impact your world, to impact the people. And like you said, when you don't, it can affect a lot of people.
right. You don't want to live a life of regret. That's something that Roxanne shared.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And someone else put in here, when you walk in a room, the atmosphere should shift to accommodate you. And yeah, that makes sense. It does make sense. I think that with that comment, what it speaks to is that you bring an energy
yes.
with you, and that energy will impact what's going on. And so you just have to be, sometimes it means that you might be in places where things are looking crazy,
Got
so
that right.
room and there may, things may calm down, or it's just the way that you engage with other people.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they're not used to that. And so there are things that happen under that situation. Now, let me ask you another question. This is kind of going back to you saying that, you do have your haters. So now you have, what happens when you're in a situation where you're the only one who is walking in this particular process or this way, and then you have other people around you who, so true energy from Tiffany, other people who are around you who have no idea what's going on, but they are stuck with what they're used to. What do you do with those people who are coming at you like, why are you doing this way?
I used to, when I walk in a room, I was always taught by both my parents that when you walk in a room, and you say, hello, how are you? Some people just walk in a room and they don't say anything. I feel like that I'm gonna come at a place where it's all gonna be pleasant. And if you're not, I'm like, well, I hope I'll say something to the fact of, this is not a good day. I said, well, maybe not the day. I said the day that is always good. But the people and events that go on in it could cause the day feel like it's not good. Then they kind of look at it from a different perspective when I say something like gives them something to think about. But then if they don't want to talk, then I just say, I hope you have a better day, and I move on, because I'm not the type that's gonna beg you to talk to me. I'll speak to you and keep moving. Once I've said my pleasantry, I'm done. But when I'm in that space, I continue to be nice, because that's what I'm having to do now. I'm having to do that where I work now, because the space where I'm in now with the people that I work with, particularly my manager, I would have to say she's not in a good space with me right now, but that's okay. I'm still respecting who she is in her position.
Right.
But we're still women, and we're still all grown. So when I need to let her know I'm just as grown as you are, I do. Not in a disrespectful way, but in a way to let her know, hey, I'm not your kid. I'm just the person you manage. So you have to kind of, just keep it that way. I just think you always try to do the right thing, but you always let them know where you stand.
Right. So let me ask you about this vision that you're stepping into. What's going on with you?
I'm still quite not ready to talk about that.
Okay, that's fine.
Ready to talk about that.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Still need to I need to kind of talk to God about it to see how he wants me to go with this.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So you have some other things going on in your life, and you have work, you have relationships, you have ministry, you have other things that are happening. How do you manage to balance all of the things that you're going through with your life?
Sometimes I manage well, and let's be honest, sometimes I don't. So I'm gonna be honest with that. I don't have that all together all the time. But what I try to do is family by far is God, family, and then everything else. I am blessed to have both my parents still alive and well. I try to break myself up and take care, make sure that they're good and spend time with them. Now I spend, of course, more time with my mom because we live together. So, but then I need to go spend time with my dad. I do, I try to manage those things well, because I know how blessed I am that I have both of them, and they're both well, and I love my family. Then I have my niece and I have my nephews. I like spending time with my family. Then my brother, doing things with him, his wife, just doing things that I have to do, to spend time. So I manage that time. Then I've been blessed to have a friend in my life. And so I spend my time with him. And then everyone else, my girlfriends, everybody, and then, work, do my job, do that, find time. The ministry, of course, is in the forefront. right there, right up under family, doing the things that needs to be done. So just taking steps to try to manage stuff well. Like I said, sometimes I do well, and sometimes I don't. But then when I have those moments where I don't, I just get back on track and try to accommodate and do what I need to do to make it happen. Because you do, in the midst of it, you still need some me time. You still need some time for you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. And that's sometimes as women, I don't know why we get that. I don't know that's why that's hard for women. I don't know why that's hard for women.
Givers.
But it's just we want to be there for everybody, but sometimes we just need to be there for ourselves.
Themselves, right.
And the one thing that I like doing for myself to give myself, I love the spa. Love the spa. Love the spa. Love the spa. I love that time to just relax and just, it's just a wonderful thing. I love the spa. I
So
love it.
good. Someone mentions you're a great role model for time management. So that's good. These are people who know you, who did
Yes. Thank you.
some.
That's my sister Andrea. Thank you.
Hey, Andrea. So now you're in an interesting position, I think, because as a minister,
Yes.
people have expectations of ministers, and I know you're moving into a specific space with your vision, but how do you manage those expectations that people have? Because the expectation, and it's really interesting that people assume ministers are like God. Uh,
Mm,
they do,
mm,
they
mm,
don't do anything.
mhm.
It's like you all of a sudden don't have
A
the
life.
needs or the lives or the perspectives of human beings, and it's like, well, y'all
Where
human
you get
beings.
that
So
from?
but think about it, that's how people actually perceive you. So how do you manage those expectations? Because like I say, with what you're stepping into, this is like a whole different thing, but it's something that you, I think, have to sit with.
Yeah. You have to sit with it, but you also have to let them know, look, you know what? I am an instrument that's being used. I've been instrument by God to be used, but I've been called to this particular service from God to do what I'm doing. But I still have feelings. If you pinch me, I'm
Mhm,
gonna say
mhm,
ouch. If you hit me, I may hit you back. Let's just say it. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna say I'm gonna hit you in the name of Jesus, but I whatever did.
okay, okay.
Okay. But in any event, getting back to, I was just doing a little funny, just a little funny. But I, all I can say to them is I'm real and I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna make mistakes like anybody else. But where my stance is to please God.
Mhm, mhm,
Although I may make those mistakes, my stance is to please God.
mhm.
And I like to live and have fun. And life is meant for you to enjoy it.
Joy, yes.
So I enjoy going to nice places, doing things, bold. I like the sports. I like all that kind of stuff. You live. You have to show people that you're real.
Mhm.
Okay. And that's it. I'm real. I just
Authentic,
want you to know
authentic to you. Yeah.
and if you can't deal with that, then you talk to my Lord for yourself. But the relationship that he and I have, he knows my heart.
Mhm.
He knows my stance. He knows what I'm trying to do. And I don't think I have to prove anything to man about what I'm doing. As long as I'm pleasing God, I really, you know what? Sorry, I don't care what you think. I just have to move in what God is telling me to do and how He's telling me to do it.
Good.
So, but to be that example and to be real and to be able to come out and say, I struggle with this just like you struggle with it.
Mhm.
I struggle with certain things just like you do. But I have to ask God, I'm in this call, but I'm still flesh. I'm
Mhm.
still That's the bottom line. And I have to ask God to put that flesh under submission sometimes. I have to say, help me, God, with this situation. Help me. But yeah, they think you're not, your spirit is perfect, but that flesh is not. And that that stance, you just constantly taking that stance that I'm trying to do the will of God the best I know how. I mean, even Apostle Paul said it, you know, I want to do good, but sometimes I just don't. And I'm paraphrasing because that's not quoting the scripture, but that's the bottom line of the scripture right there. And
Right.
I want to do right sometimes, but I do wrong. But at the end of the day, it's to please you. And I know that all of it has to be done through Christ. It
Right.
cannot be of my own will because I'm
Right.
gonna mess it up every time. I'm gonna mess it up every time. If I do it under my own will, I'm gonna mess it up every time. But as long as I realize that through God, I can do it all and do it the way it's supposed to be done, it's gonna get done.
Right. So let's talk about the fact that you're in this place and you're doing these things and you're getting ready to make a major step. How are you celebrating this whole new phase that you're about to walk into? I mean, how do you celebrate your journey on a regular basis?
Celebrate. You know what? You give yourself some cheers. You get kudos for you. And every now and then you take yourself out. You know what I'm saying? You take yourself out. I did so you just buy yourself a meal or something you may like, or do something, or hang out with some people where you can celebrate it, and just, but most of all, staying humble and thanking God for
Mhm.
what He's allowing and what He's doing in your life, because realizing that He's the one that's making it happen.
Yeah, making it possible.
Always keeping that in the forefront that you're not doing this. God is doing it. He's
Mhm.
doing it. Your everything you have is coming from Him. Everything. That's what when I get paid on my payday, I say, God, thank you for paying me today.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
what I say every time I look at my account. Thank you for paying me. Thank you for allowing me to get paid today. Thank you for making the way, because it's Him who's doing it.
Right.
You know, I've gotten to that place. I'm not saying everybody, I'm just saying, I'm speaking for me. When something good, God, thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you for doing this. You did this. Thank you for giving me what I needed to get it done. Thank you. Those little celebrate, just celebrating like that, you know?
Right.
And then it's the tangible celebrations that you may want to have. Like I said, take yourself out to dinner, or, go buy yourself something, or do something, that's it. Just like I said, it's so easy for us to go the opposite way when everything goes, we constantly, oh, I'm so this, I'm so that. But when you're doing something good, thank you, God, for letting the light, your glory and your light shine through me and showing the world that I'm this,
Yeah.
that I did this. Yeah, making it possible for this to happen.
Right. Right. Exactly. So what else is next? What else is next? Tell me something about, and it doesn't have to be what you're stepping into, because I understand you're still in a space where just before you're making that step. And what I can respect about it is when you're in that step before you make the step, you really have to it has to be a you and God. You can't let other people into that.
Exactly.
Mess it up. It'll just mess it up because
Mess it up
everyone
every
has an
time.
opinion. Everyone has an opinion about what you're trying to
Hmm.
do. So
Hmm.
it makes sense that you would just hold it until it's birthed, whatever that is.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's it. That's it. Just what you just said. Just kind of keeping it and asking God, is this me, or is this you? Is this something you want me to do? That's the key. And then finding out the steps that's needed to get it to go where it needs to go.
Right, exactly. And so
You know,
how do
what do I need to do to get this, to come to fruition, basically?
you,
What do
Mhm.
I need to do to
Right,
make this happen? Is this what you want? Is it me? I mean, it's something I want to do, but do you really want me to do this? You know,
right,
so
exactly.
right there at that, right there, that's kind of where I am with that, with what you and I had talked about. I'm
Mhm.
just trying to, you know, see how we can make that happen. I'm gonna see, because I know that the connection that you and I have, I know it was a divine thing.
Right.
It was God. It was God. Because look, from you just working on the ministry website
Mhm.
to now I'm sitting here with you for a courageous conversation.
Right.
Did not see this, did not see this, did not, but and I thank God for it.
Right.
And to actually have my family and friends and people that I love and care about deeply on here listening to me and you have a conversation. Oh no, I know this is God. I know this is God.
Good. Awesome. Awesome. So what's next in your world, in the world of the ministry? I do have an announcement, but I want you to make your announcement if you have anything that's coming up that you want to share.
Um, right now we're just still the ministry is still just moving along. We don't other than us having our normal services and so forth, we don't have anything really going on just yet, but I can't tell you what's not on the cusp, what God may have in store. Because who's to say what's gonna come out of all of this? So
Exactly.
yes. Now, as far as what's next in my life, I'm just taking it one day at a time. One day at a time.
Awesome.
That's that song, "One Day at a Time, Sweet Jesus."
Anytime.
Remember that when you was a kid? One day at a time, sweet
Yes.
Jesus. That's
Yes.
pretty much it. I'm taking it one day at a time.
Okay.
One day at a time. Open to whatever God has in store.
Okay. Awesome. That's good. That's good. That's good. So does anyone else have anything they want to ask? I'm seeing Roxanne was the last person who made a comment. Ask Yolanda, because Yolanda is here. She's available to answer your questions. Have any? Yeah. And so while I'm waiting for you to actually submit whatever you want to share, I want to talk briefly about a challenge that I have coming up. It starts November 4th.
Okay.
In November, I always talk about Thanksgiving and gratitude because it's that month, right?
It's that month. Yes.
So I'm having a 21-day gratitude challenge for people who are interested. It's a chance for you to go 21 days with me. You're going to get audio, emails, audio, and you get a Facebook group that we're going to just talk about what gratitude and how it transforms your life if you're interested.
Nice. Nice.
So the Courageous Conversation for December is actually the kickoff for the 21-day gratitude challenge. The link is here in chat. And for those of you who decide you want to upgrade, you can actually do it. We're going to meet once a week. For those people who upgrade, we're going to meet once a week and we're going to talk about what changes you're seeing in your life as a result of intentionally practicing gratitude. Because some people say, oh yeah, I'm thankful for this, but a lot of people don't really look at their entire life and think about how gratitude can be applied in every area, every single thing that comes up with your life. And that's what we're going to really dive into and see what that's about for people. So
That's great.
that's
That's great. I pray the best, and I know it's going to be successful because you're doing it from a place in your heart that's in a good place from your heart. So I know that's gonna work out really well.
I'm just hopeful because, I always find that when things are going sideways for me, I practice gratitude, but sometimes if I'm like missing and I don't do it in a day, I'm like, I have to get back to this because you have to be able to see what's good instead of focusing in on what's negative and what's bad.
And
And
we need that right now
yeah,
so much.
yeah.
So much negativity put out there on a
On a daily basis.
daily basis throughout the day. Yes, it's a loop. It's a loop.
Yeah. So that's here. The link is here. If you're interested, by all means, sign up. Hey, Roxanne. So yeah, and I just want to shout out Roxanne because Roxanne, thank you for introducing me and Yolanda. This was really, really perfect for us to really
Yes,
have this
yes.
conversation and just be connected this way. So with that being said, if anyone doesn't have any other comments for Yolanda, comments, feedback, even on this Courageous Conversations Fireside Chat, there is a survey that comes out for those of you who signed up. And if you just let us know what you thought about it, as well as what you want to see, what you want to see us talk about next. What winds up happening for me is that I start getting these ideas about, oh, this would be good to talk about. Because for me, it's about empowerment. Thank you. It's about empowering other people so that they actually begin to see things from a different perspective. And so I have thoughts about it. I know that there are lots of people who have ideas about what would really be what they need or what they think would really support people. And I'm all ears. I'm interested in the feedback. So with that being said, thank you, Yolanda.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on today. This has been wonderful. It has been wonderful, and I hope everyone that's been on have enjoyed it, because it truly has been enjoying for me. It's been great, and I thank everyone that came on to support me. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Much appreciated from each and every one of you. Thank you. Tanya, you are simply amazing. Simply amazing. Simply amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, everyone. Well, that's going to be a wrap for us today. Thank you for joining. I will talk to you again. See you again soon. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Now.